Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Earl Rush with the Earl Rush, with the Straight Up Talk with Earl Rush show. Our today's guest is the fabulous, multi-talented Richard Glover. Okay, Richard and I go way, way back. Our mothers were actually very, very tight. They really hung out together. You know, I met Richard when he was a young man, and we didn't get tight till later on in the years. But I've known him for years, and we're going to get straight to it because he's a busy man. He got so many things going on. All right, Richard, how are you today?
Hey Earl, I'm doing well. How about yourself, sir?
Okay, I'm liking that hat you got on, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you to the stylist that came over today and put me something together to wear tonight.
Okay, all right, okay.
I'm
You know
blessed.
how it is.
I'm blessed
So
to have
you're doing pretty good, huh?
I'm doing good considering what I've had to go through the last
That's
couple of months.
right. Your mother passed away.
And that was my best friend. And
Yeah,
my mom all as long as you know me. So,
yeah, yeah. I remember Geraldine. She's nice.
our parents were very good friends.
Uh-huh.
You were my elder because you was older than me, and I
Well,
always
you're one of the few people who actually seen my mother was, when my mother was alive. Since she passed at 18, but we've known each other way longer than that. So
yeah, and I
you
remember
knew how crazy she was.
sweetheart though. Sweetheart.
Let's get to it because Richard, like I said, I know you're very busy and you got a lot of things going on. The first thing I want to ask you is because the first thing I knew about you was that you were into music.
Yes, sir.
When did you first start getting into music?
When I was 5 years old, and I pulled out the pots and pan. My mom was working at night. This was before we moved to DC, and she left me with my cousin, my older cousin, who was my babysitter. And I started pulling out the pots and the pans in the kitchen, and I made a drum set. And I was banging and banging and banging on those drums and pots, and not drums, but pots and pans. And then my cousin, he gave me a really good hard butt whooping. And then when my mom came home, I told on him, and he said, "Yeah, I whooped this butt. I whooped this little narrow butt because he was playing with them pots and pans." So there was some rhythm in me. And later on in life, my dad bought me a drum set, and I started playing the drums. And from the drums, I wanted a guitar. So every instrument that I wanted, my parents always provided. And then, by the time I got to Washington, my auntie, Aunt Lilla, she had a piano, and she actually bought a piano to make sure that I was in piano classes. And all
Okay.
of my cousins, Debbie, Edwina, I don't think Squidget, but Debbie, Edwina, and then half the neighborhood, because I was in piano classes with the piano instructor up the street. Everybody parent got them in piano lessons. Everybody dropped out except for me.
Okay. So you're originally from Georgia. When did you actually move to DC? Because I know you when you was like, how long was it before you moved to DC? How old were you?
Oh, I was about almost 11 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
And got to DC, and my aunt, like I said, bought the piano and got me in piano classes, and told my mother that was I was going to do every Saturday morning, no matter what. That boy's going to go. So make sure he has his piano lesson money, and make sure his butt is here in Northwest, because at that time my mom and I lived in Northeast T Street.
Okay.
Off of Good Hope Road. That's Good Hope, Northeast or South. That's Southeast.
Yeah,
Good
that's
Hope,
something.
yeah, Good Hope Road of the Southeast. Yeah. So
Wow.
I say I was a Southeast kid for a while,
Yeah. For a short while, Richard.
For a short while. This guy, I was outside playing with a baby carriage, and this guy, big old bully, stepped on the baby carriage, and it popped up and it busted my lip and a couple of teeth. And your mom was over there that night, And when I came in the house crying, my aunties, your mom, my mom, they all went outside and they was ready to kick this dude and his father's butt.
That's funny. So how did it eventually end up you playing piano out of all the instruments that you played? What made you pick that instrument?
Well, at that point, going to middle school and high school. Well, I was, like I said, every year, every instrument I wanted: guitar, drums. My parents, buy it for me and make me play it. But piano was the main thing. Piano was always been the main thing. But when I got, older in grammar school, middle school, high school, every year I was picking up a different instrument.
Okay.
My music teacher loved me because I was like the teacher's pet. And every year after school, they would always say, "Hey, Richard, I want to teach you how to play a trombone. I want to teach you how to play a saxophone. I want to teach you how to play the trumpet." And I ended up learning how to play 15 instruments by the time I finished school.
Okay. All right. So, I know you're really into the church. When did this start, and when did you start playing for the churches? The organ. You play organ in the churches.
Yes, organ and piano. I started playing the piano. Well, it started at Rock Creek Baptist Church in Washington, D.C., Northwest Washington, 8th Street, where for a long time I was the choir director. The minister of music somehow saw some ability in me to teach and direct the choir. So at 13, I was a choir director in the church choir. Then I think one year in Sunday school, they had me play the piano because they knew I was taking piano lessons. So they had a program where they let me play the piano, and I played 2 classical pieces. One was Fleur Elise, and the other one was by Chopin. So I did some really classical stuff, and at that point, I started learning more to play in the church, and it was hymns and anthems and spirituals. I didn't get into gospel music because my church was not a gospel church. We had to play the standards and the hymns and the stuff, and you had to learn that music, had to learn how to read those hymns until I got into as a more of a teen and in the college, and I started taking I had a lady who was my mother's our neighbor who played for Bible Way headquarters, and she took me upstairs in her house, and she had an organ, and she taught me my very first song on the organ and how to do the draw bars and how to play with both hands. And so in that point, then I started playing for church as a kid, as a teenager, and all through college. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, you don't still play for the church. I know, like a couple of years ago, you were still playing in church. Right?
Yeah, I still am playing for church. I still, matter of fact, I'm at Paramount Baptist Church in 4th Street Southeast, Washington, D.C., right down from Blue High School.
Oh, I didn't know you were still playing in the church.
Man, I'm never going to stop playing piano in church. As much as I played for other artists and R&B artists in D.C., and I played, I sat in and played. I had my own jazz band. Opened up for Marcus Johnson for Spur of the Moment around the DC area. My major love is gospel music. That's what God ordained me to do, play gospel music.
Now, I know you were always good on the keyboards, but and I've never heard you, so I don't know. Do you no, I've heard you play. I mean, I was going to ask you, do you sing at all?
Let's put it like this. I'm another version of your Kirk Franklin. And the people say. Now, I can sing if I want to, because I have led praise and worship at my church at Paramount. And, when my praise and worship leader is not there, or he's going to be a little late, I would, lead off the church. I've done it at St. Stephen's Baptist Church, which is another one of my family church over in Temple Hill, the St. Stephen SSBC family and the Paramount family. Prior to those 2 larger churches, all smaller churches, I had to play and sing to lead the congregation. So,
okay.
But I'm not gonna go in the studio and cut no album.
Okay, all right. You're serviceable. You're a serviceable vocalist. You're not a recording vocalist.
I mean, if I wanted to, I can, but that's not where my heart is. I like to sit behind the keyboard.
All right. I mean, that's great. Now, where did you go to high school? Did you go to high school in Kennedy in Montgomery County? Or is that where you went?
I did go to Kennedy High School. I went 1 year for junior high school in Montgomery County, and then I went to Kennedy High School. Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Kennedy High School people out there on my Facebook page, I know you know who I am. I played out through high school. I was a school music pianist. I played for the choir. I played for the jazz band. When we had talent shows, I would play for people. When the band would play for the school, I was always on the keyboard.
I remember I came out there one year to Kennedy, and y'all had a go-go band out there. I'm like, what did Kennedy know about some go-go band out there? And I went out there. I said, look a little richer than them. But I knew a lot of people who went to schools in Montgomery County. Blair and Kennedy, and they had a lot of pretty girls out in Montgomery County back then going to high school.
Yes, sir. Very beautiful girls. Matter of fact, there was a race riot at Kennedy High School.
Really?
Yeah, and this guy, this big, heavyset white guy, thought that I was the person that was fighting him. And the next day there was this big race ride, and he jumped on me and was about to beat my butt up. Yeah, I'm a small guy now. This guy, 200-300 pounds, and he called me some names and stuff, and said, "I'm gonna kick your little." And just before he jumped on me, this other guy named Milford Lewis, who played the guitar, and he had two other brothers that were musically in the school. He turned around, and Milford was in 12th grade. He said, "You ain't gonna do nothing." It was me, and he popped that dude upside the top of his head. Saved my life. He saved my life, But what I did the next day, I called everybody I knew in DC off Northwest, and they told everybody at Roosevelt there was gonna be a big old fight at Kennedy High School. So they came out with about 3 or 4 carloads of folks. I mean, we ready to fight. We gonna get that boy Richie.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely some good stuff. So, were you going to Kennedy while you were still living on Upshur Street, or did you have moved out to Maryland?
That point, I moved in into Maryland. We moved into Maryland.
Yeah. I thought that would be a long ride. That wasn't a smart question. Of course, you had to live in Maryland. Kennedy was
mom was working at National Institute of Health, and she was working at night at the medical center as a research nurse. And my mom was a registered research nurse, and so she wanted me to be out there with her and go to school, and it was closer to get her to go back and forth to work. Even I at a certain point of age, by that time I was able to stay home by myself.
Okay, yeah. So, I always do these interviews for fun, so I don't ever get anybody's personal life or anything like that. But when you were in high school, were you kind of like a playboy, or were you a straight up kind of guy? We're talking about high school now. I don't care what you're doing now. That's really none of my affair. Just like I said, we discussed that there were a whole lot of pretty women out in Montgomery County. I'm thinking you might have been a little player. I don't know.
My cousin Debbie.
Yeah. How's she doing, by the way?
Debbie's doing amazing. She's doing great.
Tell me I said hello, man. She probably don't remember me, but tell her I said hello.
She remembers you. My cousin Debbie, all of my cousins, they were females. Majority of my cousins here were females. I have male cousins still down in Georgia, but my cousins here, they were females. We grew up like sisters and brothers. With Evelyn and Debbie. And Debbie, I used to take her out to the mall. And I used to wear sneakers, jeans, and a white T-shirt or whatever. I didn't care about clothes. It was my cousin Debbie that, because I was taking her out to the mall, she started buying me things and saying, "Hey, this is for taking me out and buying me nice clothes." And Mom always bought me nice clothes, but they were for Sunday school, for church, for special arrangements, and for school. But my cousin Debbie got me dressing, and so I started dressing. I love clothes. I always like to look good in the morning going out.
That's what I was going to ask you. At what time did this start? Was this before college or after college?
This was in the 11th grade.
11th grade, you started being a little player. Okay.
I wasn't a player now because I never went to parties.
Oh, okay.
I was invited to every party out there, but I never went because on Fridays when I got home from school, I had to get my mom took me straight to Upshur Street.
Okay.
And I stayed there over the weekend because I had to do Boy Scouts on Friday night. I had to be. Are
you okay? I hope nobody messed with you. They got.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I don't recall any of that. Even though they're asking people now that if you was in the Boy Scouts.
Let's hope you didn't have to blag it out.
All right. Hey, nothing happened here. My troop leaders were upfront men that were men. I didn't have any problems. Trust me, I wouldn't know. I would have been suing. I would.
All right. Okay.
But it was Friday night at the Boy Scouts at St. Gabriel's. It was Saturday mornings at music class at 11, and then 12:30, something like that. It was choir rehearsal. It was church. Boy Scout and studying. That's all my life. I didn't in high school. I didn't even have a girlfriend.
Well, that answered my question whether you were a player or not. Then okay, no, I guess you weren't.
No, I wasn't a player. I had a lot of girls that wanted to be with me, and always. I mean, black, white, Asian. I mean, a couple of them would come up to find out where I lived. I never told anybody in high school where I lived. Just a few people knew where I lived in Maryland. And this one girl, she was from New York. She's Italian. She come knocking on my door, and I was in the house in the back studying. And my mother said, "Who is this?" She said, "Is Richie home?" I was like, "Who is that?" And knocking the door, want to know if I can come out and go to the pool. I was like, "Wait a minute," you know. I said, I said, "How did you find out where I lived?" I was like, so. Yeah, I was not. I didn't have girlfriends. I had girls who wanted to date me. A girl, she took my class ring because she wanted to date me, and you know, and they always tried to find out where I live. You know?
Right. Well, you know, women like mysterious stuff, and you know, women like the guys that don't pay any attention to them or try to come on to them.
I was a geek. I was a geek. You know, I was one of those geeks that consider myself a geek, but I don't think nobody else considered myself a geek.
Okay.
You know, I just
so we left Kennedy. We weren't a player. We didn't have a girlfriend, even though the women wanted to be with us. We're going to college. What did we major in music in college?
Yes, political science and music.
Okay, and what school was that you attended, Richard?
George Washington University.
Okay, all right.
And that's why I've had my first girlfriend, and she turned me out. Okay. Now, I'm not going to get into all of the details.
Please don't. This is a G-rated show. Please don't.
I'm not going to get into details, but she did. She did, you know, woo.
Turned you out.
Yeah, you know, it was the first real girlfriend.
Okay. Yeah. So Debbie buys the clothes. You go to college. You get a girlfriend. You get turned out.
Wait a minute, turned up. Let's say turned up.
No, you got turned out, brother. Anyway, and then, okay, we coming out of college. So, how in the world did you jump from being crazy about music, an excellent musician, to getting into computer science and things like that? How did that happen?
Well, I was doing some master work at the University of Shenandoah. And I saw one day, I was going back and forth to Shenandoah, and I saw one day that they had an internship at MCI.
Okay.
And I applied, you know, and got the job as an intern at MCI. And it was actually just in customer service. You know, he was on the phone for 4 hours, you know, selling friends and family and all that stuff. You know, I was the type of person, I definitely never like to sit still in something that really didn't interest me. That really didn't interest me, but there were other things I saw in the company that were interesting to me. And that's how I got into telecom. I started interviewing in the company after 2 years of being on internship and then finishing up and then actually going as a full-time employee. I looked for other things to do, and I got into cost savings in IT.
Okay.
And I was auditing circuits and stuff at the same time, still playing the piano for churches. I always carried two incomes. The church always took care of me, and I got a good job at MCI, and I worked at MCI all the way up until the end of WorldCom when they were under.
Okay.
And I moved around MCI until I became a business analyst in IT and learned how to networking and provisioning and knowing how to build the internet.
Okay.
Infrastructure. And of course, I took classes along the way. You know, the University of Maryland, places like that. You know.
So, all right, we got two jobs. We in church. We got a good 9-to-5 job. How do we get into you producing modeling shows and pageants and all that? That's what we got to talk about. How did you get to that?
Earl, you know that you know about me. You know, I'm not the type of person to just sit still. You know, everybody in my family know that, you know, if I see something that interests me, especially if it's something that becomes a passion, I find a way to make that passion make money.
Okay.
And wow, we're fast forwarding now. I mean, we're really going through the 90s, you know. No, we're it's good. It's good. You know, we're good. We're fast forwarding. And I ended up hanging out. You know, again, like I said, man, I never really gone out until I was actually an adult.
Right.
You know, that's when I started hanging out and going to places like Mark Barnes parties and stuff at the hotels and then at the clubs and stuff. Then finding out all the different clubs. And the thing about me is I always began to know who the bouncers were.
Right.
And the integral part, the most important part about knowing the bouncers is always making sure that you, every once in a while, know that they got your back.
Okay.
And so I became we're good friends of bouncers and stuff, and anything never ever happened to me.
Right.
I was able to get in the club and I pay for it.
Okay.
Let him on in. Hey, that's Rich. What's up? Let him on in.
Right.
Thanksgiving time, good times come out. Hey, put a little thing in the pans, under the hands and stuff, keep it moving. That's when I really started, thinking about, wow, maybe I should be a promoter. I know a lot of people, so I would tell people, I would bring people from work to the Republic Gardens all the time.
Right.
Like new people that would start working where I was working at MCI, I would tell them, especially if they were new to town, hey, that's the best place to go is Republic Gardens. Let's go. We go there on a Friday from the 5 o'clock hour to 8:30. It was 50 cents a drink, So I knew I was always bringing people. That's how I got a chance to know Mark Barnes a lot,
Okay.
I got a chance to meet Mark and and just being able to go there and just bringing everybody I know. I was always selling the place, not trying to get anything from it, not trying to be a promoter, just showing people a good time, showing people a good time, And so, but about 12, maybe 15 years ago, like early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, I started volunteering for pageants.
Okay.
I was moving pianos and pushing the broom across the stage, so the ladies can do this talent piece and, moving the podiums and passing the mics out. I did that a couple of years just as a volunteer. And then I started learning about the system.
Right.
Learning about pageants and started, learning about fashion shows. I was always a person that loved to dress. I love clothes. So, I started knowing designers that said, hey, I remember my very first time that I modeled. And that's not nothing that I like to do, but I modeled at what the place was called, Crossroads.
Okay. Out right on Hodgsville.
Yes, I was in Crossroads and I was walking out with a white T-shirt on and my jeans, and the two models in front of me was another guy next to me. We walked out, they came up to us, put their arm around us, and they snatched our shirts off so we could show our buff bodies and stuff.
Okay.
And everybody loved it, and everybody loved it, and like, yay. And I said, okay, let me get into this. So then I went and got a modeled again for a swimwear thing. This was back, when Crossroads was open. And I had to wear a house coat and bikini swimwear. And so I got up there and I had to show off the swimwear. I opened up, my house coat, and I heard a girl say, "Woo!" Well, I was like, "Yeah, man, this is it. I want to be a model." But I also have a cousin much older than me. He's a twin out of Cincinnati. He also kind of inspired me to get into modeling because people say I look like him, and he's been in Ebony magazine. He's been on billboards for Bacardi rum. He was a national model. A lot of people looked at, and he would come to DC we would hang out. Then he ended up going to Howard University. He was also one of the first Black track and field stars, in the university idiom, collegiate world. And his name is Eddie. His name is Eddie Colley. He's still in Miami. But people in Cincinnati, everybody used to say I used to look like him. You could be Eddie's little brother. He was a twin.
Right.
Was a twin to a female, his sister. And I like that he was a model. I mean, this guy was. I mean, you talk about handsome, buff, worked out, everything. When he was in the modeling scene, and he was on TV. He was on dating shows. He was, in magazines and stuff. I kind of wanted to be like him. All my older male cousins have always been role models for me.
Okay.
All of my cousins, Ronnie, Mike, and Greg, their brothers down in Georgia, they were always be buff. I mean, their muscles were bigger than my head.
Right.
And so
I was big because you got big.
You said my head is big. They were always lifting weights and stuff. So I would lift weights, try to be like them. I could never. I'm a small guy, but they were really buff.
Okay.
Them Georgia boys, they eat grits and eggs in the morning and they get buffed. you know. So.
So, when did you start? What made you get into starting your radio show, The Cellar?
Well, I was working for a group called Hush Society in Washington D.C. This now we really fast forwarding up. About the last my radio show now over is 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been in wine for 4 of those years prior to that. So
Okay, so you were a certified wine sommelier
yeah,
before you started your radio show, and then you took that and said, "I'm gonna go on the radio and
yeah.
tell people about the wines that I know." Is that how that took place?
Well, I was being interviewed by a group called oh my god, what's the name of the show? Name Brian Ayers and oh my god, the guy's gonna kill me if I forget him. But they had a show on Bliss.fm,
Okay.
and they heard me doing. So when I got in the wine, it was because of Hush Society.
Okay.
Carlos Allen, the mayor, they call him the DC mayor, Carlos Allen. He had an organization called Hush Society, and I got in that organization with him and Brian White. What was Brian's last name? Yeah, Brian White. I'm saying, I'm doing a blank on these names, but anyway, they brought me into the organization Hush, and Shamila, all of them, and so I ended up becoming the director of operations. And one day, Carlos and his wife, the owners, the CEO of Hush Society, which meant help us support humanity, they would do charitable events every month at their brownstone in Mount Pleasant. They bought a brownstone and turned it into a mansion.
Okay.
I think, did you ever come out there?
Where was it at?
Off of Irving Street in Mount Pleasant. It was called Hush.
No, I don't think I did.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
Everybody in DC that was in the scene, yeah, and you were in the scenes. But they would have these events and stuff. And so anyway, they asked me to do a wine tasting.
Okay.
Wine tasting. I don't know nothing about no wine.
Right.
They gave me a budget. They bought the wine. I studied about it, and it went off very well. And so I ended up liking what I did, and people started asking me to do it again, and I started taking classes, and I get to my first class, which was a weekend class, and then I went to Denver and did a week class, and by that time I was certified as I began to go to my advanced sommelier.
Okay.
So I've gone like close to almost $20,000 to be certified to the highest levels.
Okay.
Then I found out. That's when these guys found out about what I was doing, because what I started doing, Earl, and that's why I started getting into promotion. I would put out flyers on K Street, and I would talk to people like Lima Lounge and the Six Cities, and Mike Comitas, all these guys that own these clubs. Masood on Lima Lounge and Cities, and they would with open arms say, "Yeah, you could do a wine tasting before the nightlife starts." And so these happy hour wine tastings, man, I would put flyers out and go up and down K Street, telling people, come on by, get on Facebook. I was putting out flyers and stuff, and people started showing up after work for a free wine tasting.
Right.
And I started building a network of people. I mean, I did a wine tasting at that time it was called Bohemian Caverns. It's called HO Lounge.
Right.
Yeah, it was HO Lounge. I did that
on U Street, 11th and U.
11th and U, the very first wine tasting done at any club down there on U Street.
Okay.
And a friend of mine's named Kayvon. Kayvon, he's on my Facebook page. He put this on, and him and a guy named Ron G. All these guys are promoters. And I began to meet them through somebody else, and they had me to do his wine tasting. And the place, HO Lounge only held like 75 to 100 people. We packed that place out that Thursday night with over 250 some odd people. Cool. And we had somebody at the door doing the ticket. Throughout the night, over 200 some people showed up. And we're talking about from 6 o'clock to 9:30, 11 to 9:30, 10 o'clock. That's how packed the place was. It was so packed that the glasses the store you can see out the windows were all fogged up. Guess who showed up at that event? JC Wood.
Okay.
Somebody put a note on her desk that I was doing a wine tasting, and she showed up. And a lot of other people in DC showed up. And that in turn got me on Channel 9.
Okay.
And I was on Channel 9 a couple of times with JC Haywood and with a couple of other anchors in the mornings doing holidays about wine.
Okay. Okay.
So these guys heard me do the wine show, that wine tasting, and they invited me on their radio show on Bliss.fm to interview me because they'd never seen a black wine sommelier. They'd never seen a black guy who dressed really nice, who would get up and talk about wine like it was just like water coming out of his mouth.
I know about 10 black wine sommeliers. What they talking about?
Well, maybe they didn't know him. On the radio show, and I interviewed just like this, and talking about wine. Next thing you know, the owner of the station came out after the show was over and said, "Hey, man, you know what? You got something that nobody's doing right now." He said, "You're an artist. You're art in the world of wine, and the way you talk, the way you present it. What have you thought about a radio show?" And I was like, "Oh, man." No, I was in the radio in high school. I was the only black radio announcer in our high school at Kennedy.
Okay.
I was the very first. I had a show with his a classmate of mine's named Jeff.
Okay.
Jeff Berger, and Jeff was called the Flaming Burger, and I was called the Mighty Nightwing. So you got black guy, white guy. He was called Flame Burger, and I was called the Mighty Nightwing.
Okay, Mike. We're gonna move on that one, Richard. But I gotta ask you something.
What's that?
All the years that I've known you, I've seen you watch one pretty girl that I know named Candace. I see you try to dance with her. I never seen you. You know music and everything, but I never see you dance. You just sit in the club, have some wine, look cool. You're just not a dancer.
I was when I was a kid. I used to dance with my family. I used to dance the James Brown. Wow. And all that stuff. I kind of grew out of that dancing. Okay. I would love to learn how to dance, but I have two left legs.
Okay.
You tried to teach me before. Embarrass me.
No, I didn't embarrass you. I just told you, Richard, this is your left, this is your right. That's all. That's 3 steps.
Wait a minute. When you say Richard, you got to count like you playing the piano.
How many beats in the measurement? 4 beats in the measurement, right? So
4, 6, 8, 2, 4
it's
times.
also the same thing, just 2 beats. You get distracted by the women, so it's all good.
Well, the only woman that really tried to help me was Candace. Shout out to Candace. She's amazing.
Shout out to Candace.
She's amazing.
Shout out to Candace.
Candace did. She didn't make me feel. I would feel inadequate out there trying to dance with a woman. Right. And I think it was you that told me don't ever turn a woman down. And every time they come up to me, I'm like, I'm good.
Right. So, what were your thoughts when you? By the way, we want to thank you and on behalf of DCBX and Sylvia Morrison for having us on your show a couple of times. This is just a little internet show. You got a real show, so we really appreciate that. But what was on your mind when you came to a DCBX event? You saw all those people dancing.
Woo! I thought I was going to learn how to dance. I really did. But I think my inadequacy of being able to do the 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or whatever, and plus I was overwhelmed with all them beautiful women. Oh my goodness.
I think the other part of it is, Richard, you may admit it, you may not. The things that you do very, very well. And you're not comfortable doing something that you don't do well. So I think your ego saying, I can't do this like I really want to do it. So I ain't going to be fooling around like that because I can't do it real good. Now, I could be wrong. I don't know.
Oh, wow. Earl, I am a master of mastering what I know.
Right.
IT, cloud infrastructure, I know it like the back of my head.
Mhm.
Piano playing, music. I know music. I know every genre of music.
Right.
I have famous artists from every genre. I mean,
Right.
even Latin music. I have favorite artists,
Uh-huh.
and I listen to it at home all the time. I know wine. I know wine. I
Mhm.
know pageants now, but I've been in
Right.
pageants. I'm now. I've worked my way up to become not only a director for national for Miss Intercontinental for the state, the under director, and for the general director, not the main guy. He
Uh-huh.
taught me a lot of things, but also in Miss Bikini. In Miss
Okay.
Bikini and Miss Globe, as a regional director, and
Right.
I've been working Miss Bikini since 2017. So I know pageants. I train girls for pageants. I've had
Right.
winners. I've trained girls for winners in pageants.
Right.
But just that dancing thing, I can do the Holy Ghost dance now in church.
Richard, when I see you in the R&B clubs, I ain't never seen you dance. Never.
Dance.
Never.
I don't dance. I didn't even. You know what? You remember when there was a slow dancing in the basements and high?
Uh-huh.
I
Uh-huh.
didn't even do that.
Wow. I remember you had that crazy party and
Oh
CC
my!
CC Peniston was there.
My
Oh my
birthday
God.
party. Yes.
So Richard, you stopped doing events for the Black Caucus. What was up with that? You don't have time for that no more?
Well, the clubs closed down. Like cities closed and Lima, because those places where they would always allow me to bring. I mean, you've been through a couple of them. I have like packed the place out. I mean, Chaka Khan's come to my CBC events.
Mhm.
Roland Burris.
Mhm.
People from Chicago, California, senators and congressmen and state legislators during that time when it's from CBC would come out because they hear about my event. I know how to
Right.
promote an event. I know how to get the word out. That's so.
Right.
But over the last couple of years, we did one. The last one we did was at Cities before they closed.
Right. I might have been at that one.
I think so. And I had my cousin who was running for mayor of Cincinnati. She
Mhm.
I gave her because I ended up start giving out awards.
Okay. Yeah. I went to that.
Yeah, and my
I went
cousin
to that one.
and Jeannie Jones, Kitty of
Uh-huh.
the City, she emceed that for me.
Right.
So I've had some amazing, guests to come and people who just admire what I do because I admire them. You know,
Uh-huh.
Jeannie Jones, Kitty, CC Peniston. Met her at a CBC event. No, I met her at something at Park like
Uh-huh.
earlier in the year, and then I reached out and said she was going in town, and I said, "Hey, it's my birthday."
Uh-huh.
And she said, "Oh, Richard, just let me know. I will be there and I'll MC for it." And she did. She came out and MC
Yeah.
and she performed.
Yeah, you always were smooth with the tongue talking to the ladies. I always tell you, it probably wouldn't even be fair the way you dance and all that. It probably wouldn't be fair the way you dressed. It wouldn't be fair if you knew how to dance salsa. So it's all good in the end anyway.
I'll be a dynamite gentleman, huh?
Oh, wow. The way you dress and you know how to dance salsa, you probably end up having a lot of headaches. So we got the wine thing going.
Yes, the
We
radio.
got the pageants going. And
Yes.
so I used to listen to your radio. You had me on as a guest when you had a radio show, and I turn around. Now you're on WGBR and Roku. What the heck? How did that happen? I mean, you got a real TV show going on. How did
Yes.
that happen?
Yes, and we're getting ready to start back up because we're doing COVID and doing the time that my mom passed.
Right.
I kind of had to slow down. I kind of went not only totally underground. I would make comments here and there, but I kind of like put everything on the dresser because I needed to get through this time in my life. Never had to go through it like that. I mean, I've mourned my aunties that have passed, and well, your mom passed, and
Right.
we're family,
Right.
But when that thing hit home, man,
Yeah.
it took me. I mean, I didn't go under, but I'll be honest to tell you people, and I don't mind telling the truth about it. I was going under.
Right.
I didn't want to come out, didn't shave, didn't want to go out the house,
Right.
just want to stay in, and just want. And then because of COVID, I couldn't do a regular, traditional funeral.
Right.
I had to do it online with my church. Thank you, Paramount, and thank you, St. Stephen's, and
Yeah.
all the people that kind of stuck in there with me and my family. But that really hurt me. And then after that, another month, I couldn't even bury my mom until July. So, dude, and I'm still ringing on some things. I'm trying to get her death certificate fixed.
Right.
So,
Richard,
yeah.
let me tell you what, and this is the truth. You love me, but I'm strange. I never recovered from my mother's death. I never. She's passed when I'm 18.
Yeah.
You say you're going under. I've been under.
Yeah.
I've been under since 18. I wasn't right when she was alive. But when she passed, I never recovered. It's and you were a mama's boy, and I was a big mama's boy. I never recovered from that. So I sympathize and I also empathize with you. And I know what you're going through. Yeah. And sometimes for me, when my mom passed at 18, I've had all these years to almost get over it. But in your case, you've been with your mom all these years. So I would imagine it's even harder to deal with it because that's someone that you've been with all these years. I didn't even get the time to spend with my mom.
Right.
You've been with your mom for years. So I know I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you, but she did live a long and good life. But
she did, yeah.
It's nothing like losing a mom.
And I had a couple of friends recently that lost their parents and mother or father, and I empathize and sympathize with them. And it's still so new because I still wake up sometime expecting to see her, watching TV or coming home when I'm out of town and stuff. So
Richard, you're gonna be in shock, and I'm not exaggerating, for at least the next 5 years. You're still in shock. Your mom.
Yeah.
How old was she when your mom passed? How old was she?
She was 86 years old.
Think about that.
But she didn't have, and she wasn't never an invalid. She, was going to do her own thing, drive her own car, go wherever she wanted to go. My mom was very independent,
Right.
She was just my best friend. She supported everything that I did from childhood all the way up to adulthood. When I said I wanted to do the radio show, and she, didn't tell in the beginning, but she found out, she said, whatever you do it to your best. To your best, And I would come home and show her I would take the show after I do it when I was at Bliss, and when we went from audio to video, I would record the show at the studio and bring it home so she could see it.
Right.
TV up so that when we start going Facebook Live the last couple of years with WBGR, that she was able to hit one button and it come up on the TV, so she was able to watch it and stuff.
Right.
But, I'm getting better. And this is a start. I've had not really shared this with anybody, and you're pulling it out of me though. But that was my best friend, and I miss her a lot, So.
I remember Geraldine. Geraldine was funny.
My cousin Edwina spoke at the funeral. Edwina said Aunt Geraldine was the aunt that drove all the fast cars and the fancy cars.
Geraldine was something else,
the fancy cars and her red lipstick.
Yeah, we better move on before we both be crying thinking about our program.
I feel the tears coming. So
we be on Facebook crying. And so
I know, man.
Let's
thank you so much. I don't want to cry.
With that one, I don't like to end on a bad note, but I think we might have to just get ready to wrap it up. We've covered everything you've done. You're a musician, a certified wine sommelier. You've been a promoter. You had a radio show. You got a TV show. You know all kinds of celebrities. And we also found out you're just not a dancer. But we covered most of the things that you're good at. And that hat you're wearing, well, see, only you can get away with that hat. Okay. You had a blue jacket on the other day.
Yeah.
Neon bright blue.
Yeah.
If I wore it, they would have said I'm the Bama of the week. You wear it, girls are like, oh, look how sharp he is. But I've never been a hater of you, Richard. I always loved you.
You always have.
I've never been a hater because the chicks like you because of the way you dance and all that. I just learned from you. You know what? Earl, when you go out, you got to be dressed up. The women like you when you look good. That's all. So before we go, how did you meet my man, Mr. Juice from Juice Lounge?
I've been knowing Juice ever since he had his first club on 7th Street across from the convention center.
Okay.
And he had his club there. And then he moved out to Bethesda. See, I'm a
Right.
type of person, when I meet the owner of a club, they have my commitment to always be there, bring people there. I don't ask for nothing. I just, if you show me love, I'm going to reciprocate more than 1,000 times.
Yeah, you get off on, like you say, show you love. You get off when you go to the club and then the owner say, "Oh, Richard's here, honey, take care." You get off on stuff like that. I only get off when somebody's giving me some money. That's all I care about. But it's different strokes for different folks. So I guess you can't make any move on any pageants until a vaccine or something comes out, right? Right now, you stuck.
Well, this year I did do a couple of virtual pageants and I did some appointments. So we were supposed to be in Miami October. Well, we were supposed to be in Miami July the 20th. July 2020. Because of COVID, we couldn't go down. We moved it to October the 30th to the 31st. And because of COVID, it's just not possible. So we're now going back to having the pageant again, July 2021, which would include the queens who are 2020 queens and 2021 queens.
Okay.
So we'll be back in Miami in July. Miss Bikini pageant is one of the most amazing pageants to be a part of. Dawn Rachel Warner is amazing. She's a former pageant queen, TV star host. She owns a modeling company. She's about a sweetheart. I say about a real sweetheart to work with and work for. I love her dearly. She's like my sister. She allows me to spread my wings with the pageant.
Right.
And so I have Miss Bikini pageant Mid-Atlantic region. I've also recruited for Illinois. I have Miss Illinois out there, Miss Indiana, and then I have Miss New Jersey. So it's just having a lot of the pageants, and I also have Miss Globe, which is under Dawn.
Miss Globe,
and Miss Latina World. So we're gonna do that next year too.
You got a lot of stuff. So is that the one we were talking about that we were trying to get at DCBX?
Yes, we want to get into DC. I tell you, it'll be an amazing thing. And Don and Linda are definitely for it. I just need to make sure we can all come together at the table. But I'm hopeful and I'm prayerful that we will be able to bring Miss Latina World to Washington, D.C. It'd be amazing backdrop for the pageant,
Right. And being in DCBX, it would be just crazy.
Exactly. It would be amazing.
It's crazy.
Amazing, crazy, amazing. And so we're going to move back into to 2021 for July, and I'm praying that some type of vaccine is out, or that we're a stable country, because I believe that I believe that new leadership would
you better hope for the vaccine being out, because it's going to be several years, if ever, where this country's going to be stable. But that's a whole nother subject. Don't want to know who you vote for. I'm sure you're a registered voter, and I'm sure you will go out and vote.
I am. I will. And my hat look like it's crooked. Is that right?
No, I don't know, player. I'm not. I don't pay attention to hats that I can't carry. Again, if I put that on, they be like, "Who the Earl think he is, like Ranger Hal or somebody?" There's some girl looking at. There's some lady right now watching saying, "Oh, he cute. I like that hat." So different strokes with the Richard.
There we go. Richard. Hey, one thing about that, I am voting, Earl, and I'm encouraging everybody to get out there and vote. This is a critical time for our country and a critical time for the life and the legacies of us coming together as a people. I listen to Bob Marley every morning, and he says 3 little birds were at his windows or his doorstep singing a sweet melody, and that melody is pure, and all we have to do is understand that don't worry about a thing, because all of this will soon pass, because every little thing, hurricanes, storms, you name it, will soon pass. But the most important thing, that we are living in a time where we can sit down at the table of brother and sisterly love and can love each other. I mean, look at you, Earl. You're an African-American man they're so well popular in the Latin world. That's something that back in the 60s would never happen. You know, look at the things you do and the strides you've done. You know,
but
and it can happen.
I'm not popular, so let me take it as most people don't like me, so I'm not popular. They like my events. That's two different things. They know they come to my party, or Kelvin's party, or we do a party with Lee and Cat. They know they're gonna have a good time. Now they like Lee and Cat.
Well, you know what? You're very hard,
like me, but it's all right.
You're very hard too. I've been at one of your events where you're like, all right, now y'all know what this is about. Get it together. You tell a DJ to stop in a heartbeat.
I mean, it's like this, Richard. This dance is only 6 steps. It's only 6. I don't care what nobody say. What I'm teaching is the basics. It's only 6 steps.
Yep.
So if you fooling around, you're not gonna be fooling around in my class because I don't play none of that.
No, that's right. That's why
you move your left foot, move your left foot. Here's the right. Here's your left. Here's your right. That's it.
When you get on me, I step to the side and watch.
I don't think I'm not popular because of my classes. The reason why a lot of people don't like me is because I talk a lot of trash. I tell them that my party's going to have 500 people. Mm-hmm. And then they turn around, there's 500 people. I tell them people coming from all over the United States, they turn around, they're coming from all over the United States. So reality, nobody likes a trash talker, especially a trash talker that backs up that trash. So,
hey, you got to do what you do, bro. And I admire that about you.
But, I've done a couple of things that you probably wouldn't see black people doing in the Latin scene. Yeah, but don't say popular. But it's all good.
It's all good. You're popular in a special way.
Well,
they love you, Earl. I never do nothing but pure love when I'm around the Latin parties and you're there. I mean, it's my honor just if you'd even call my name out. Richard's in the house. Come on, Richard, get in the line and do it. You're a musician. You should know how to do this. I don't get insulted. I just think it's great, you know. maybe I'll find a girlfriend out there one day.
If you can do that basic stuff, a girlfriend's not a problem at all. Richard, I'm going to go. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your hectic schedule because Lord knows I don't know how I can handle all that. And hopefully next year you'll have us on for the DCBX. Bring us on in a couple of weeks to promote DCBX.
Absolutely.
And maybe the Revolution Jam in January if COVID is gone. But I don't think it'll be gone. I don't think we're actually going to be dancing until 2022. Actually,
well, let's not hope that. Let's hope better because I want to get back in church, man. I enjoyed my online service. Right. Nothing sitting down at that piano and playing and getting the effect of how it moves the congregation. Exactly. But let me say this one thing, and we are starting back the show on Thursday. I'm still up in the air if it's going to be this Thursday, next Thursday, but I'm sure that it's going to be next Thursday. We're going to start doing a remote show from my home.
Okay.
So come into my living room and we'll have a remote, and we're going to also go into the studio.
All right.
The cellar is back, baby.
Okay. Richard, thank you so much, young man. I love you. Stay strong. I'm praying for you and your family. It's so awesome to see you, and I hope you have a blessed and productive evening. Talk to you later.
I'm going to go to El Capo now.
Okay. All right,
Thank you so much. Good night, everyone. Bye.